On your mark. Get ready. It's time to go the distance. For sports news and sports review, get ready. It's The Pitch.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Pitch. As always, I'm your host John Fox alongside here with Mitch Sabbatelli and Mike Peps Perrone. Now moving on to the first topic of the day. Conor McGregor loses to Floyd Mayweather in 10 rounds, technical knockout, about 45 minutes to like an hour. Floyd Mayweather improves to 50-0 and calls it quits, says it's his last fight, done, calls it a career. Thoughts on this fight? We will start with you today, Mitch.
Well, you know, usually we just talk about the four major sports, but this I feel like we have to talk about. This was a huge fight. Mayweather is now 50-0, and like Fox just said, Mayweather has announced that it might be his last time fighting, and I happen to think this could be actually it. You know, 50-0, he just passed Rocky Marciano. I think Conor McGregor did great in this fight. A lot of people came in and saying, oh, this is going to be no fight. He's going to want to kick. He's going to want to use mixed martial arts, and Mayweather's just going to take him out in 3 rounds. There was other people that said, oh, maybe he can come out there, maybe throw a couple strong punches at Mayweather and knock him around a little bit. Mayweather's not used to that quick, hard punch that McGregor has. You know, McGregor is 11 years younger than him, and maybe the youth and everything could favor McGregor here. And McGregor, the first 4 fights, if you were a casual fan, I gotta admit, as far as boxing goes, that's not my major sport, and me just watching it, I paid the money, I watched the fight, and I enjoy myself. It wasn't like the Mayweather-Pacquiao thing where a bunch of people running around, putting their fists up, and nothing was happening. You know, McGregor attacked Mayweather, and Mayweather was right there with him. You know, fists, you saw that defensive stance that he's known for, and once it hit round 5 or so, you thought that the match was really, it was fairly even.
You got your money's worth, basically,
but
for
then
the fight.
all of a sudden you could see around round 8 or so that McGregor was about to start fading. The fatigue definitely set in. And, you know, Mayweather, he's 50-0 for a reason. And McGregor, for this to be his debut going against probably a top, I wasn't lucky enough to see Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali, but for my money, this is the best fighter I have ever seen. And for McGregor to be facing Mayweather for his debut and going 10 rounds, I think he did himself some favors. Dana White has also said that he wants him to stay in MMA, but if McGregor wants to be a boxer, I think he's going to be fine for the sport. I think it rejuvenated the sport of boxing.
The problem is when you're in UFC, you're used to a much shorter fight. You're used to like a 20-minute fight. The thing is, if McGregor was going to come in and win that match, I mean, his strategy has to be, all right, first 3 rounds, I'm going for his head, I'm going to knock him out. The problem is Mayweather is, that's like you said,
49 previous fights were
one of the best fighters you've ever seen. He's definitely, definitely one of the smartest boxers, if not the smartest boxer.
Yes. Technical. He's the best technical
fighter. He's very smart with what he does. He knows how to play the game. It's his sport. He should know. But I mean, when it comes down to it, if McGregor's going to win,
he's really not one that's going to dazzle. You know, that's just going to like knock somebody out in like 3 seconds.
Exactly. If McGregor's going to win, it's going to be in the first 3 rounds. The problem is after 5 rounds, he gets tired. He's not used to being in that setting, facing a guy like Floyd Mayweather, especially in his arena. I mean, if you bring it to UFC, the fight's probably over in about under a minute. God. So, I mean, I didn't see how Floyd wasn't going to win that fight. I am a little surprised it lasted 10 rounds. I think that was more for money, more for show, more for, hey, let's, let McGregor last a little bit longer. And, we know you can take him out whenever you want pretty much. And he showed that in the last 3 rounds of that match. But, it was a good fight by McGregor. It was a good put up by him. But, you're in Mayweather's territory. You're not going to beat him in his own game. He's 49-0 for a reason. So, it was a good fight. And, hey, you can't complain when 2 people are combining to make about $300 million in this fight. So, it's I think that's a pretty good chunk of change whether you win or lose.
I compare Mayweather to kind of like a finesse pitcher where he's out there, he's defensive, and you could see the whole fight. And as soon as the round 6 came around, Mayweather started landing his jabs, landing his punches, and he was around 50%. And that's not a knock on McGregor. I think McGregor, he's basically, right now, UFC and MMA has really taken over the combat sports world. And McGregor, by doing this, the only boxer that most people know is Floyd Mayweather. There is a big fight coming up in 2 weeks with Canelo Alvarez facing Gennady Golovkin, Triple G as they call him. And I think the winner of that fight, that fight's you're gonna get your money's worth with that fight. And I would love to see McGregor maybe come out of his comfort zone. I know Dana White doesn't want him to do this, but McGregor is out there for himself trying to make his money, and he definitely made his money. But maybe fight a Golovkin or fight a Canelo Alvarez and really put his name out there and be a dual sport athlete, because they keep on saying how this is a completely different sport.
Right.
He can do that and be a second athlete.
It's all about the money.
Having said that, that moves into what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Thoughts on McGregor's future? What do you think? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think McGregor is an MMA guy, and I think this really put his name out there more for MMA as well, because, everyone who was an MMA, there's a lot of boxing fans that aren't MMA fans, and now because they saw how good McGregor fared against Mayweather and lasting 10 rounds, maybe they're like, oh, maybe I will check out the MMA fights in the future. And McGregor, I thought, was very respectful. There was no issues after the fight. Mayweather and him talked a little bit right afterwards. I thought they were very respectful of one another. McGregor knows knows Mayweather's history of the sport, and Mayweather knows how much actually kind of courage it took for McGregor to jump from one sport to go out there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's easy to say with him making $100 million here. It's easy to do. But
the thing is, it's like I feel like UFC's popular as it is. The thing is, when it comes down to it, boxing's a dying fad.
Right.
And it's fading fast. So, I mean, the fact that they did the boxing match was more for, all right, you know what, let's get people to watch boxing pay-per-view more, because not enough people are purchasing our boxing pay-per-view. People want to watch UFC. They want to watch fast-paced fighting and all this kind of stuff. Like, they don't want to watch defensive, just gloves up, and for half the battle you're just trying to outsmart your opponent in a way where you're not going to hurt them. People
which
want
we saw with Pacquiao and Mayweather.
Yeah, we're in a younger, more physical generation. People want to see fighting. They don't want to see, not really full-on fighting.
It's trendy too. Everyone likes the new up-and-coming sport too.
This definitely helped boxing big time, though.
But McGregor is a UFC guy, but now he has the option to do whatever he wants.
This was all for money. I mean, it's all for money. It helps both sports.
So closing this out, do you think Floyd Mayweather is finally done?
Absolutely.
Realistic.
I think so. There's nothing else that he needs to prove.
I wouldn't see 50-0. Why would you ever come back to tarnish that?
He's one of three athletes.
It really wouldn't be tarnished.
He's one of three athletes that's accumulated over $1 billion worth of
right.
total salary.
It's not like he needs the money, and there's no fight here that would put him, if he's not already past Tyson or Ali. And again, I can't, with actual everything I have with Mayweather.
Experience.
I'm biased because I only saw Mayweather. So there's no fight that he can go out there and say, oh yeah, now he's better than Tyson, now he's better than Ali. So I think right now Mayweather, 40 years old, he's proven that he's one of the best ever to do this, and probably the best defensive fighter of all time, and that's where he should be. And let this go.
All right, I like your guys' thoughts. All right. Now, moving on to the next topic. Kyrie Irving is traded to the Boston Celtics for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, and the 2018 Brooklyn first-round pick. Or was he? Peps, what's the holdup? What's the big holdup here?
The big holdup is Isaiah Thomas. The problem is his hip injury is still a pretty significant factor, and for why this deal hasn't officially happened yet, why it's still pending. But the thing is, the Cavs knew what they were getting into. I mean, Danny Ainge apparently was pretty straightforward about the hip injury and everything. So, I mean, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are just, at this point, just trying to gouge the Celtics for what they can get them for. Yeah. So, I mean, at this point, I feel like they've gotten enough. Kyrie Irving doesn't want to be there anyways, and we want to go to the finals. So they should just give us Kyrie Irving, and we're going to give him these four things, and then it's over with. I just think that, I think the Cavs are stupid to do it because Isaiah Thomas is still, he's in late 20s. I mean, hip injury will heal over time, even if it takes another few months. So what? You know what I mean? But they shouldn't be coming after Jaylen Brown. They shouldn't be coming after Jason Tatum. They definitely shouldn't be coming after the LA pick for the first round of 2018.
Brooklyn's going to be terrible, so they're already going to get a
top 5 pick.
Okay?
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas, I mean,
they could end up with.
I could see that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're still getting Jay Crowder, and to take Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, like we're just getting. And Kyrie Irving is a superstar.
He is, but he has a history of knee injuries.
We're giving up a whole team.
He was held sidelined in the playoffs.
You're right.
He was held sidelined in the playoffs before in the regular season. He's got a history of knee injury, ankle injuries, pretty severe injuries. Actually held him out for a long amount of time. So we could play that game both ways, and we're only getting one, and they're getting 4. So, and one of them could potentially even be the future first pick of next year's draft in 6'10" Michael Porter Jr. And get a pretty nice, solid addition. The white version of Kevin Durant, as I've heard him being referred to as. So, I mean, I feel like they're getting a steal off this anyways, and the Celtics are looking to get a championship now with Hayward, Horford, and then you got Tatum in there with Jaylen Brown, and then you got also Kyrie now. So I feel like it's going to be solid. And I feel like that this should just happen, and they should just accept whatever happens because they knew about the injury in advance.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way I look at it is Kyrie Irving asked to be traded. For somebody to be 25 years old, I mean, that's my age. If I came up and said, I'm already playing on the second best team in the entire league, playing with the best player, and probably the second best player of all time, and for me to ask to leave, there must be some bad blood there. So clearly we have the leverage here, when I say we, I mean Boston. And I think Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie, that's pretty much the trade. In my opinion, the Brooklyn pick is the reasoning for the hip issue. I think the reason why they're getting the Brooklyn pick is because Isaiah's hurt. Danny Ainge was very vocal when he made the trade as well, or agreed on the trade, saying, yeah, that might have played into the part of the trade with the Kyrie hit, with the Isaiah Thomas hip. Look, Isaiah was a great player for not even for the Celtics, but for the whole city of Boston. He helped. I hate saying this. He helped bring in Al Horford, and he helped bring in Gordon Hayward. But you see his kids, and I've met the guy. You see the kids running around the arena pre and post games. He's just really uplifting for the whole entire locker room. And I hate that thing that I saw that people around the organization think that he was damaging or a cancer in the locker room. I just disagree with that. I don't think that's correct. But the fact that they're holding up, I mean, if you're Kobe Altman, you're trying to make a name for yourself, you're a new GM in there, taking over for David Griffin, I could see it, but asking for Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown as a free throw-in when you're already probably winning the deal is a little absurd.
Pretty much explains the Cavs' mindset and who they are.
I'm fine with giving up a first-round pick. The only reason why I would say that Kobe Altman would say, oh, you know what, then we're not going to do the trade, it's if he has already another trade lined up with Kyrie Irving, which might happen. We don't know. I think the deal will get done. Apparently there is a deadline on Wednesday, and then they can agree to have another 24-hour window if both teams agree on extending the deadline. And if so, after that Thursday deadline, then the trade will be voided. But they're already printing out Isaiah Thomas jerseys. And this whole thing with the NBA 2K is really weird because Kyrie Irving is the cover athlete, and they had him in the Cavs jersey, and then they're going to start putting in Boston jerseys. Now they just don't know what to do. But I think ultimately, the trade will happen.
And that'll be very awkward if he comes back here
very
after
awkward.
everything that's happened.
And then hearing Danny be like, oh, well, we never really intended to trade Kyrie.
We never wanted to get rid of you. We knew it was going to get rejected.
It's going to be awkward for everyone.
All right, well, if the deal is completed, who walks away with the win here?
I think it's a win-win. I think ultimately the whole thing with this whole trade is the fact that LeBron James is a free agent after next year. Now, most players, especially younger players like Kyrie, would be like, oh, let's wait and see if he's going to sign long-term. Let's wait and see. Kyrie was proactive in this whole thing and saying, listen, I'm not going to wait for him to decide, because if he leaves, then that team's going to be terrible for the next few years. I want to say that I want out. I want to say that I want to play with an up-and-coming team or a already established team and have a chance to win. So I think both teams benefit here. Isaiah Thomas, if he's healthy, then the Cavs really benefit here. They got Jay Crowder, which is one flaw that the Cavaliers didn't have. They didn't really have that defensive.
He's a hustler. He's a grinder.
Yeah, the proactive defensive player that Jay Crowder is. He's a 3-and-D guy. He can go out there in the perimeter, maybe even come in as the 4 guy and defend the post. But Isaiah's going to help and play off of LeBron. He's been the second guy in the past when he was the second guy with DeMarcus Cousins. I think he's going to defer to LeBron. And, the one team that Danny Ainge could trade him to would be Cleveland, because this team, obviously, it's not like he's going to Sacramento. It's not like he's going to Brooklyn. He's going to Cleveland Cavaliers. It's probably a better situation than Boston. And then if everything does fade, if they don't sign Isaiah, if they don't sign LeBron, like Peps said, they can go out and get Michael Porter, Marvin Bagley, who just committed to Duke. This is a huge draft. They have Marvin Bagley, Michael Porter, and then 2 huge guys, DeAndre Ayton and Mohamed Bamba. So that pick is huge, and Brooklyn is going to be horrible this year. It's a win-win.
Okay, nice. Now, saying it's kind of weird because it's basically an if, like if the trade does go through or if the trade doesn't go through. How on both sides? We'll start with you, Peps. Let's say the trade doesn't go through. How does this affect LeBron next year?
I think LeBron, regardless, I think he's gonna. I feel like he's either gonna pull what he tried to do when he was last in the same situation. He's gonna try to pull people with him, or he's gonna just relocate somewhere else. But I mean, I feel at this point, if he relocates to another team away from Cleveland, then I think it's gonna be a bad look for him. So I mean, I don't know. I think LeBron stays a Cavalier. I mean, for the rest, I think he's gonna stay a Cavalier. I mean, the only other teams I could possibly see him going to could be like maybe the Lakers.
That's the big one.
You know what I mean? The Lakers. I mean, imagine him in OKC with the crew that they have right now. That could be a pretty solid team too. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel like he's not going to leave. I think he's going to stay.
Yeah, I mean, the LeBron thing, like Pep said, there's a lot of speculation that he wants to move to LA or for some reason, either for Hollywood fame or he wants to live over there. So naturally, it's either the Lakers or the Clippers. There's an intrigue there with the Lakers because he has a relationship with Magic Johnson, who's now, owning the Lakers and in charge of the Lakers here. And then also the young up-and-coming guys, Lonzo Ball, who's a pass-first point guard, Brandon Ingram, who's probably going to break out this year. And then the whole intrigue of, being the guy that replaces Kobe Bryant. And I think there's a lot of benefit for LeBron playing over there. He goes back into the Western Conference where there's a lot more competition there. But I think, like Pep said, I would love to see him stay in Cleveland. But, he said when he signed with Cleveland and saying, I'm coming back home, I want to win this team a championship, which is what he's done. The guy's gotten to the finals the last 7 years. You can't really blame him too much for wanting to leave again. It would be tough for Cleveland fans to swallow, but he did win you a championship. I think regardless of this trade happening or not happening, he's going to be a Laker next year.
Agreed, yeah.
Okay, nice. All right, moving on to the next topic. Unfortunately for us, being big Patriots fans, the next topic is about Julian Edelman tearing his ACL in the third preseason game, out for the season. Peps, we'll start with you on this one. Thoughts on this crushing blow?
It's pretty terrible, but I mean, the thing is, obviously, never like to see a guy like Edelman go down. He defines. It's like losing Pedroia for the Red Sox. Like, it's
worse,
just, it's worse.
Yeah, it's a good
worse.
comparison.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think that, it's rough. It's a tough break, but thankfully, Bill Belichick being smart and Tom Brady being the way that he is as a quarterback and the best one ever, they're going to get through this like they always do. I mean, I think it's just a matter of next guy up. Who's going to be next guy up? And I think the biggest person I can see for next guy up to take a huge shot at becoming the number one is Chris Hogan, because I think Brady already likes him. He loves him in the preseason so far. He's fast. He's tall. He's a big body. He can get down the field. He's got speed. But I mean, when it comes down to the slot guy, I feel like he's going to be becoming more reliable like he was back in the Super Bowl with Amendola. I think he's going to be a big-time slot replacement for that. But they also got a chance with Austin Carr coming up, possibly. But they're saying now he might not even make the team. But also Brandon Cooks is a huge addition, and Gronk's going to have to step up big time, like the way Edelman did for Gronk when Gronk was out. Now, kind of vice versa, bring back for Gronk to replace his absence. And then you have, obviously, the dual threats of White and Lewis, the pass-catching running backs. And then you have Burkhead, too, and Gillespie. So, I mean, you have a ton of guys that can step up.
Yep.
And forgetting one person that, if Mitch, do you know who I'm about to say?
Rex Burke, Malcolm Mitchell.
Malcolm Mitchell.
Yeah.
Malcolm Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
Super Bowl.
It's huge, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing with Edelman, this is different than like losing on Gronkowski. The offense revolves around Edelman. He is Brady's security blanket. There's no other receiver that he's looking for more in third down. That's where it's really going to kill you is the third down. It's not the fact that, we're going to lose, Edelman, he gets 100 yards. It's not the fantasy numbers. It's when you need a first down, he's the guy you look for. And that's what Edelman's going to be doing for the rest of his career. He doesn't care about the stats. He just cares about winning. Brady has had two constants in every one of his Super Bowls, whether it's with the Panthers, Eagles, Rams, Seahawks, Giants, or Falcons. He's had a dominant slot receiver, and he's had a dominant pass-catching running back. It was Troy Brown, it was Wes Welker, and it was Julian Edelman. And then they had Kevin Falk, James White, Shane Vereen, Danny Woodhead. And right now he has that Edelman and he has that James White behind him. I think Burkhead's going to have to try to step up in his replacement. They said he might be able to play some slot, but there's nobody that can really, like Pep said, take over Edelman's strength and confidence and trust from Brady. And that was the big thing Brady said after losing Edelman is that trust factor. You're not going to be able to replace that slot receiver. Like Pep said, I think Austin Carr is going to be over there.
I
think he's going to be there. But Amendola, I think he's better suited as the fourth receiver and
He's
the guy
a big
that
third down guy though. He's very clutch.
But he is.
Yeah.
But he's too injury prone to be that guy that every down, every play like Edelman was. I think somebody's going to have to step up.
It's going to be Hogan, I think.
Maybe have Hogan go on the outside. Maybe have Lewis come in there in the slot. Maybe have Burkhead be that slot guy or Austin Carr. One of those three guys I think really needs to replace him.
Spread one of the running backs out to wide out.
And Gronk and Cooks need to stay healthy for this team to play well.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. One more to keep it with this topic. This is Julian Edelman's last year under contract with us.
No,
right?
he just signed a 2-year extension.
He signed a
so
2-year extension.
2 more years after this one.
Even if it was, I don't see how they don't re-sign him. Even if it was.
Okay. Well, then I was wrong. All right. Moving on to our NFL preview section.
Yeah.
We're going to start this off. I'm going to go to you, Peps. Who do you think this offseason improved the most? What team would you say improved the most?
Personally, I mean, I really have to say, obviously, I think it's going to be the Patriots. I think the Patriots are even better than they were when they won the Super Bowl in ridiculous fashion last year. Adding Cooks, adding Stephon Gilmore, you had a top cornerback, you had a top tier speedster, wide out, and deep threat, and Brandon Cooks. You had Mike Gillespie, who was pretty much just shipped out of Buffalo, and he's got speed. I mean, even losing Edelman, I still think this team is just as good. I mean, they'd be even better with Edelman.
They just cut Coney Ely, who they traded their second round.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, he doesn't fit in with their scheme.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's Patriots personally. Obviously, maybe a little bit more biased, but yeah, I mean that's what I think.
There's two teams. Obviously, the Patriots had a huge offseason. It's not the GM version of Bill Belichick's fault that Julian Edelman got hurt. That's more of him just putting him in as a coach. But I think there's two teams that jump out to me. It's the Oakland Raiders getting Marshawn Lynch in the backfield, maybe taking some pressure off Derek Carr, taking some pressure off Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper, and also Carolina getting another weapon with Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to have an absolute great rookie campaign. It's going to put Carolina back. It was a sophomore slump there for Cam, and it was a sophomore slump for that Panthers team. But now having Luke Kuechly back, having all of the defensive guys come back and say, listen, we have nothing to prove anymore. It's not like we're going out there with that pressure to try to repeat and get back to the Super Bowl. You know, now nobody's thinking of us. You still got Greg Olsen over there. You still got Kelvin Benjamin. And now having Christian McCaffrey back there, I think the Panthers are really going to step up. And also the Buccaneers getting Deshaun Jackson really opens up the field for Mike Evans.
I think even better than the Buccaneers is the New York Giants.
Yeah, they improved
I think
a lot
the Giants improved. They got Brandon Marshall. They
yeah.
got Perkins emerging. He's going to be an RB1 this year, I believe, when time comes.
bold.
And I just think that I think the Giants could be a Super Bowl sleeper.
And the Jets.
Their defense is doing better too. The Giants. So
Robbie
they
Anderson.
improved.
I feel bad for him. I really do.
He could be good on any other team.
Josh McCown now
that
the
has a
starter for the
quarterback.
Jets.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. Well, any other predictions for this upcoming NFL season? Anybody can take this.
I think the Steelers are back. I think they got Bryant back, and he's not suspended for the whole year, obviously.
All four killer bees.
So far. Yeah, they got Ben, Bell, Bryant, Antonio Brown. I mean, that offense is dynamite. So I just think they're going to take the North. And don't fall asleep on the Baltimore Ravens, though, either. Their defense has improved. They're actually going to be, I feel like they're going to be a top-tier defense this year in their division, especially. And I think they're going to give some fits with a healthy Joe Flacco back. I think it's going to be between those two as usual.
I got two predictions. I think Deshaun Watson takes over for Tom Savage by week 3, and I think Houston Texans are going to be their second best team in the AFC.
How many teams did how many games did Savage play last season?
Like 6.
He didn't throw a touchdown, did he?
Yeah, he did.
But
not many.
Yeah, no.
But Billy O'Brien always does that. He always puts the veteran guy. But Deshaun Watson, when I saw what he did in Clemson, he's had a great training camp and a great preseason. I think he's going to go out there, and Houston's going to have a real good year. And also, I think Atlanta Falcons aren't going to win their division. I think Carolina Panthers are going to take that. And I think Matt Ryan's going to take a huge step back, or Julio's going to get hurt.
Wow.
Also,
That's
I think
bold prediction.
Dak Prescott fantasy bust this year.
Ooh, I like that too.
Well, I was just going to go into the final, very brief topic. We'll start with you, Peps. NFL fantasy football. Who is your number one sleeper?
My number one sleeper, I think, I believe it's going to be Devontae Parker of the Miami Dolphins. I think that considering the fact that they got Jay Cutler, who is actually willing to air the ball out, because Tannehill relied so much on Jarvis Landry because he's a middle-of-the-field slot receiver.
You've got to find his Alshon Jeffrey.
He doesn't have a really high ceiling. He's not going to get you a ton of touchdowns. He might get you like 10 catches for like 95 yards, but he's not going to get you those big TDs that I think a guy like Parker will be in his. I think he's going to have a good year. But, even with Cutler there, and he really likes him, and they're trying to ship Jarvis Landry out of there anyways. So I don't see how it's not his number one wideout position to take.
Real quick,
Whatever defense is facing Cutler, just pick them up for that week.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. I got a couple names here for sleepers and busts. My sleepers are Terrell Pryor going over to the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
Kirk
Big
Cousins is going to have a huge year this year. It's a contract year. He's going to be the guy. You don't know about Jordan Reed's health, and Jamison Crowder is going to be their slot guy. Terrell Pryor is going to have a huge year. Kareem Hunt, the running back. Spencer Wheeler just got hurt for Kansas City. If you've already taken your draft, make sure you pick him up. He's going to be RB2, one of the best rookies of this huge running back draft class. And Corey Coleman, he got hurt last year, but the Browns, now they have Deshaun Kaiser. He's going to be back and be a good wide receiver. And my bust, Alshon Jeffrey. I hate Alshon Jeffrey. Every time I draft him, I always am let down. Going to Philly, I think everyone's like, oh, he's going to be better, going to Philly with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is going to rely on the running game. I think he's going to try to be a really technical quarterback and not air it out to Jeffrey. And like I said, Matt Ryan, something's going to happen injury prone, something either with Freeman, himself, Matt Ryan, or Julio this year. And I wouldn't touch Matt Ryan that high where he's going.
I wouldn't touch T.Y. Hilton either, to be honest with you.
I would not touch him. You don't know the situation with Andrew Luck.
And I know this is kind of a reach, but I also think for tight end sleeper, I mean bust, tight end bust. I feel like not more of a bust, but he's not going to be as dominant as he used to be entering his season where he's now 33 years old. I think Delaney Walker is going to fade a little bit with that receiving core now getting better and not having to rely on him as much, especially with Henry and Murray now with the improvement of them. But
wait on your quarterback this year in fantasy.
All right. So that pretty much sums us up for this episode of The Pitch. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, the works. Have a good one, guys. Until next time.